Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, let's talk about something that, as long as I can remember from my generation, is migration into or immigration into the United States. Millions of people have crossed oceans, they've traveled through deserts, traveled through jungle, like in the Darien Gap. Some people even get sneaked in on boats, on hot cars. Some people risk their whole lives just to get into the United States. My mother was one of them. She migrated to the United States when back in the early 70s. Now, legally, way different. Story's very interesting. She had an address that she had on a piece of paper. She didn't know anybody in New York. She landed in JFK, took a cab to the address, knocked on the door. There was nobody home. Nobody, I guess they had gone on vacation because they were in there for a couple of days. And then she's just standing outside on the street with a little backpack. Somebody said, "Hey, you looking for a room?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll take a room." And she got the room, and then she got a job, and the rest is history. But today, I want to flip the question and the conversation. Why are so many Americans leaving the United States? This year alone, about 180,000 Americans have decided to pack their bags and leave. They just left. They left America. And for the first time since the Great Depression, more people have left the United States than they've actually migrated to the United States. As a matter of fact, living abroad, there's about between 4 million and 8 million Americans living abroad, depending on who you ask. Let's take away service members and politicians who live abroad. So let's give them 1.5 million. So that still averages you out between about 6 million people, Americans who live abroad. From those 4 to 8 million people, depending who you ask or what resource or what source you use, 5,000 of those people have renounced their US citizenship. Most people don't do that. I wouldn't do that. I would never renounce my US citizenship, right? Just because, why not have two passports? You can have a Colombian passport, or me in my case, I have a Colombian passport and I have an American passport. Some countries it's easier to get in with my US passport. Some countries it's easier to get with my Colombian passport. Like if I wanted to travel to Cuba, I use my Colombian passport. If I want to travel to, let's say, England, I might use my American passport. Might be easier to get in. I wouldn't recommend anybody leaving the United States to renounce your US citizenship. Don't do that, all right? Just slow down, cowboy or cowgirl. Slow down, all right? We don't want to do that at all. This raises a fascinating question. Why are Americans choosing to leave America? Let's begin with one of the biggest financial goals Americans have. That's home ownership. Today, the median home averages out in the mid to low $400,000. I looked this up. And the median household, before I even get to that, it's estimated, but in order for you to qualify for a median home, you need a median income, or you need the income between $113,000 to $130,000. Some analysts suggest $93,000. Let's go with that number. They suggest for a median-sized home that you earn $93,000. Let's give it per household. Now, if you're earning $93,000, are you really earning $93,000? Off the bat, let's take away 21%. Puts you at what? I don't know, $72,000? Let's say that's the household all of you guys making. Do you guys know what the median income for America is right now? It is $83,000. Household, not single. Household, per household. Okay, that's the median household annual income. They suggest that you earn at least $93,000, but the median income. So right now, the median home is out of reach for the median income producing family. That's scary. Maybe that's why people are choosing to say, hey, you know what? In America, it's not adding up. The American dream has always been white picket fence. That's what we've always been told. White picket fence, beautiful home, a little backyard, a dog running in the backyard, right? Your car parked in the driveway, saying hi to your neighbor, mowing your lawn. George Carlin said, the American dream, because you got to be asleep to believe it. I don't know how many of you guys have that right now. If you do, you're very lucky, right? And I would give thanks every day. If you live in America, have you ever thought about just packing up your bags and leaving? Now, if you're watching from outside of the United States, have you ever thought about moving to America? Let me know in the comments. What do I think helped the American mindset into leaving or being more comfortable to leave the United States and go to a faraway country? I think it was COVID. During COVID, many people who lived in big cities such as New York, Chicago, LA, Boston, they said, you know what? I hate it here. It wasn't the city, it wasn't the pay they were making, it was their way of life. To live in New York City, they were earning high amounts, but they were also paying high amounts in rent, maybe just for a studio apartment. If you live in the city, like I was born in New York, you enjoy the city. You go out in the city, you go to the cafes, you go walk in Central Park, you take a cab ride, you go see a show, you go to a movie theater, you go to a bar. There's so much to do. But then all of a sudden, COVID came around. Now, you can't really go out. You had to stay stuck in your apartment. And some of these apartments in New York are really, really small. I have many family members who still live in New York. And one of my family members, a cousin of mine, she lived in a studio apartment in a basement with no windows. She had no view to the outside. And going outside was prohibited, I believe. So people started looking at places like Texas, Tennessee, Florida, the Carolinas, and saying, hey, you know what? I don't have to go to work. I can work remotely. Why don't I just move somewhere where I can just walk outside again and feel like a human, have a better quality of life? Maybe not just for yourself, but for your family. If you're married, if you just had a baby, right? You want to take your baby out for strolls, out in a park. You want to see the ducks, see the squirrels running by. Then all of a sudden, they're like, okay, we made this move to another state. Why don't we just keep going? I mean, I did it. After 9/11, I didn't like the lifestyle there anymore because things got scary. I was in college, and all of a sudden I'll be in a building, in my college building, it said, evacuate the building. I hated it. We would have to run out just because of the World Trade Center and everything that happened with that. Then we left to Florida. Then COVID happened. I'm like, all right, I'm used to moving. I moved down to South America. Now I live in the foothills of the Andes. I believe that sometimes taking a small step can help you take even a bigger step. So maybe this helped out a lot of Americans saying, you know what? I already moved. Why not just keep going? Why not just keep going and leaving the United States altogether? Americans are starting to become immigrants all of a sudden. And they're moving to places. The number one place Americans are moving to is Mexico. I think Mexico is the safest bet because they're like, America is right there. I can still touch it. America, I'm connected. I still haven't cut the umbilical cord. I'm so close. Right there, if something happens, I can just hop over the fence, show my blue passport, and I'm over and I'm back in America. And whenever I go, I'm not that far, okay? So I understand why Mexico is such an appealing place to go to. Doesn't matter about the cartels or anything down there. You know what? I'm moving to Mexico. I love Mexico. I love the food in Mexico. Every time I've been there, the people have treated me amazing. You know, but I've walked to Mexico, I've flown to Mexico, and I've also taken a cruise ship to Mexico. So I've been to Mexico through water, through air, and walking over through Tijuana from San Diego. The other two places now, those are some big leaps. You got Portugal and Spain. Now those are far. Now Portugal, beautiful weather, the beautiful people, the weather's good, good healthcare, it's safe, right? Especially if you're a retiree, I think Portugal would be nice. Spain is kind of, it's a developed country, has nice, beautiful cities, kind of looks like New York, old but modern. I know why Spain. Then you have other places like Costa Rica and Panama. Now, Costa Rica is like the retiree, very relaxed, supposedly. I think it's gotten very Americanized now, so it's probably lost its luster. Panama, another place that people feel safe going. Panama is a beautiful city, super developed, but I feel like it's just like another version of Miami. And Panama, people like it too, just because it's dollarized. So when you get there, you don't have to make exchanges or anything. Everything is in dollars. Everything's in dollars as well. And then, of course, you have places like where I moved to, Colombia, and people like it down here. You have the mountains. Besides the hardships of not being able to afford a median priced American home with your median annual salary, mathing there, maybe people always want what they've never had. You lived in New York, you know, or in a big city like that, you want to see clear blue ocean. Florida might be the case, or Panama, or Costa Rica. You want to live next. You want to have that beach life. And I bet the people who live in the beach wanted the city life. See how everybody always wants what they don't have or they don't have access to. At the beach, I hardly went, right? And I bet you hear people who drive around here in Colombia. They look at the mountains and they're like, and I'm, why? Because I never had mountains like this. Beautiful snow-peaked mountains. But I live in tropical weather. Amazing. Medical is one of the big ones. People cannot afford the medical bills in the United States. Here's my own personal story. When I was in the United States, I've told it in the past, but I'll give you guys a quick example. Went to the United States, I went to get a teeth cleaning. When I get there, they tell me I have 11 cavities. Like, oh my goodness, 11 cavities? How much? They said, don't worry, we have a payment plan. We'll get you in debt. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to get me in debt. I went for a second opinion. I didn't tell them anything. I had a filling that actually fell out, so I wanted to get it refilled. But I didn't tell them anything about my other dentist, my primary dentist. They told me it was 11 cavities. So I went to the second dentist. They said, you have 7 cavities. And guess what? We also have a payment plan for you. I already knew I was moving to Colombia. Once I got to Colombia, I went to the dentist. They didn't tell them how many cavities they had found in the States. Remember, one told me 11, another dentist told me 7. Got to the dentist, they did the whole checkup, they cleaned my teeth. I said, how many cavities do I have? They went, we didn't see any cavities, sir. They want to get you in debt. Is it their fault? No, because they're probably also on a median income trying to afford a medium household. I can't pay for it, but I have a customer here who's willing to get into debt for some false information I gave him probably. How can one tell me 11, another one tell me 7? And then I get here and I have 0, and I've been here 5 years already. I go every 6 months to get my teeth cleaned, and guess what? They haven't found any cavities. That's one of the reasons that many people also want to leave the United States, the healthcare system. You can go to a pharmacy in Mexico. The minute you cross from San Diego into Tijuana, that's the way I did it. One of the first things you see right there's big pharmacy. There's pharmacies everywhere. Why? Because you can go to the pharmacy and say, I need this, this, and this. You don't even need a prescription. You just go and you buy one. Also, a lot cheaper. Maybe closer to the border with the United States is going to be more expensive because, hey, listen, if the Americans are price gouging their own Americans and getting them into debt, maybe they can raise the price a little bit, right? Maybe not as extravagant when you have to get into debt in Mexico. But now if you go deep into Mexico, further in, I'm pretty sure the pharmacies there are priced for the locals. Like when I go here in Colombia, I go to my local pharmacy. I don't go to the big one closer to the airport because that one's gonna price gouge a little bit more. Does that make sense? So maybe that's why many Americans are deciding to leave America. Healthcare, better life. And here's something you hardly think about, right? It's not how much you make. Like the great Robert Kiyosaki said, it's not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. And in the United States, many families aren't keeping anything. They're living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. And if one of those paychecks happens to not go through, like the poor TSA workers happened, right? A few months ago with the government shutdown and they weren't getting paid. Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And you just want a breather. Can I just relax for a second? I don't want to have that stress that if I can't go to work for 2 weeks, I can possibly get fired and my whole life will be upside down. I won't have another job. I'll have to start from scratch again. And that's scary. That's so scary for so many Americans. That is so scary. Sometimes making that move to another country, whether it's the Philippines, Vietnam, Mexico, umbilical cord right next door, or Panama, maybe the quality of life is just better. And just because that's why when COVID happened, many people left their New York City apartment or their LA townhouse, whatever it is, for just a better quality of life. Man, here I'm still paycheck to paycheck, but if I buy a little house, I'm gonna get a little bit more and I won't have to stress as much because I can afford it. It's better. But now, all that inflation now is across the country. So many people from all over the country now are saying, you know what? I know I moved to Tennessee, or Florida, but Florida is just as expensive. Let me keep going south. Can't go to Cuba. It's illegal. You can't go to Cuba. But you can go to Costa Rica, Mexico, Panama. Salvador here right now is doing amazing compared to before, and it's growing. So maybe it's a good opportunity to visit Salvador if any one of you guys is trying to make that move from the United States and become an immigrant, right? When I first got to Colombia, for the first time in my life, I felt like an immigrant. I was born in the United States, but when I got to Colombia, I had my own cell phone. I had my cell phone, but I couldn't get a plan to connect it because I didn't have a cellular, social security number from Colombia. So I couldn't even connect my phone. So here's something I find fascinating. America was built on immigration and people leaving the comfort or the discomfort, right? They were probably leaving, escaping war, escaping poverty, escaping being persecuted because of their religion, right? Freedom of religion in the United States, freedom of speech. They were looking for a better way of life. And it's funny because the descendants, since America is built on immigration, most of you, like me, come from immigrant parents. Whether it's 3 or 10 generations back, we're all immigrants of the United States, and that's what built the great nation of the United States, right? But it's funny how the life circle goes around. And now I left the United States for a better way of life. Maybe the American dream hasn't changed. It's not just for America, but you can have that American dream anywhere in the world. It just doesn't have to be in America. And maybe that's something how it just brings everything together. Our ancestors left for a better way of life, and now the descendants of our ancestors, of your parents, great parents, or great grandparents. Maybe now you say, you know what? It's time for me to maybe go back home. If you're of Irish descent, maybe you want to go back to Ireland. If you are of Colombian descent like myself, I wanted to come and see what Colombia is about, where my ancestry is from. As an American living in Colombia, I kind of see both sides. I understand why my mother left. And even here now, speaking to Colombians, some of them, I hear why they want to go. I'm also in the other part where I'm the American and I left. And I understand what I'm looking for. I was looking for a better way of life, a more relaxed way of life. I didn't want to be in the hustle and bustle that America requires you to be. If you get out of that hustle, your world can fall apart. So I understand both sides. Or if you decide to migrate to Mexico, Portugal, Spain, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Philippines, wherever, it doesn't mean those places are better than America. Both places, or either place, it's not better or worse. It's totally different. And if different is what you're looking for because you're tired of the same, maybe it's time for you to pack up your bags and get to stepping. Try it out. What do you have to lose? I don't know. That's for you to answer. I can't answer that for you. What do you have to win? I don't know either, because everybody's life is different and you guys choose your own roads. And I want you guys to choose your own roads. And through this channel, what I've wanted to do is kind of show you guys a glimpse of what living abroad can be. And I know many other YouTubers do the same thing. All these YouTubers, myself included, right? We show you guys the difference. We don't show you that it's better. I also show you sometimes it's worse. There's things we don't like as well. There's many things I miss from America. But there's so many things I wouldn't want to give up living outside of America. So when you think about the word immigration, don't just think about people coming into America. You can also think about yourself or Americans leaving America. And that's also immigration. Our ancestors did. Our ancestors, your ancestors left wherever they're from, and they planted root in America, and America became home. What's stopping you from doing the same thing? Leaving America and calling another place home, just because you want something different. Now, I want to hear from you. If money wasn't the deciding factor, would you leave the United States? Would you move to another state? Would you move to another country? I would like to hear from you. I read every single comment and I try to answer every single comment. If you haven't done so already and you enjoyed this conversation that I like having with you and just talking with you, don't forget to like, comment, of course. Let me know what you think. And if you could move to any country, which country would it be and why? And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Until the next time we speak, this is Alex with KGYT. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.